So a lot of what is happening now is this ability to start thinking about what would you do if you got a group together. We have as a legacy, both in the language and the design of the digital tools we use, the notion of personal, right? It's the personal computer. This is for you. But in fact, once you connect the computers together, once you connect the phones together, right, it takes on this social characteristic as well, which is to say, what's the most valuable thing attached to your computer isn't your screen or your printer or your mouse. The most valuable thing attached to your computer is you. And the ability to aggregate dozens or thousands or millions of yous into something larger is the characteristic of these networks. Now, we've had the internet for 40 years. We've had mobile telephony longer than that. Why is it just in the last decade that the social effects have been really profound? And in the last 3 years, really beginning to be world-shaping? These tools don't become socially interesting until they become technologically boring. It's not the moment that a shiny new tool appears that it matters. It's the moment where your mom takes it for granted. Right? When email becomes so normal that nobody even thinks of it as techie anymore, right? That's when these tools start to matter. And so, although we've had the capabilities, the raw digital capabilities for some time, what's changing now is that people are instead of thinking about the tools, they're starting to think with them. We've got a problem with violence in Kenya. What can we do? And that ability to use these tools to coordinate social value is something that isn't embedded in the tool itself. If I invented a great new shovel, you all would not rush out to dig more ditches. Because merely having the technological capability to do something isn't enough to get that thing to happen. What makes something happen is having the opportunity and the motivation at the same time. And very often we're seeing new opportunities meet ancient motivations. Motivations to come together, to share things, to work together, to make life better. And it's when those two things at the same time happen that things really change. So here's an example of social aggregation at a scale much larger even than you should be. Wikipedia, certainly in the English language, the most famous large aggregation of digital work. And Wikipedia, enormous, right? Millions of articles, millions of people working on it. It's in many languages. This is the Wikipedia article for Doctor Who, which is the British science fiction television show. And if you know anything about the sort of Wikipedia user base, you'd be able to guess that this article is really good. It's been, it's incredibly detailed, it's incredibly thorough. It's been edited thousands of times by thousands of users. It is a compendium of the kind of shared knowledge of this subject. Now this is true for any large-scale Wikipedia article, thousands of edits, thousands of users. And you'll hear a lot of speculation about bottom-up, self-organized, the hive mind. But when you stop to ask what those words are telling you, they're really not telling you much. Self-organized doesn't really mean very much. IBM is self-organized on some level. Right? So in a way, those words are just labels for the mystery, which is, how do groups of people coordinate to do something like that when it's clearly not their job, and they're clearly not being managed to do it? So if you go and look at the history of how these articles come together, right? What you see, as I said, in this case, almost 9,000 edits, over 3,000 contributors. So on average, each contributor has contributed between 2 and 3 articles. But here's the funny thing. The average is meaningless in this system. There is no average user. So here is a graph of every user who's edited the Doctor Who article, ranked in order by the number of edits they've made. And we do not see a hive mind. We do not see bottom-up development. We do not see everybody comes in and kicks in their 2 or 3 edits and the whole thing kind of decreases. What we see instead is that over here, the most active user, Chaos Works, has edited the article nearly 1,000 times on his own. One person has done over a quarter of the work. And 2/3 of the users, 2/3 of the contributors, have contributed only one edit once, ever, and then left. Okay? So these people, the 2,200, they're not members of a community around this Doctor Who article in any meaningful sense. Meanwhile, these people over here have done an enormous preponderance of it. Now, if you were a business, right, it's easy to see what to do about this. Imagine hiring someone who does one piece of work, and then for the rest of their employment just sits around the break room, drinking your Cokes and eating candy. Bad hire. Not a great employee. But here's the thing, Wikipedia doesn't have employees. So if you want to come by and fix one typo on an article and then leave and I never see you again, fine. Because the article is that one typo better. So the trick here is not to think, oh, we only want to hire these people, the classic management idea, just hire the people doing most of the work. The trick is to think about the whole ecosystem. Because it is these people and these people working together that's making all of this work. A question was asked this morning in one of the morning sessions on cities, what do you do about coordinating large groups? And the answer is almost always, inside every large collaborative effort is a small collaborative effort that's actually driving things. This article, and this is again true across the whole range of Wikipedia articles, this article would fall apart if there weren't a small group of people who cared much more than average that this article be good. Because it is that small group within the larger ecosystem that's keeping the thing on an even keel. And that is this person in this particular case. This is the user page for Chaos Works. Chaos Works is the person who's done nearly 1,000 edits on his own. And here's a list of Chaos Works contributions. That's a Wikipedia page, that's another. And then each of these are sections that Chaos Works has edited on that Wikipedia page. You can start to see a theme arising for Chaos Works interest. We also know a bunch of other things about him. Attended college in London, has a Bachelor of Law degree, has an MA in American history, lives in Hong Kong. This is a thoroughly improbable individual. Right? Imagine the BBC, which owns Doctor Who, going and trying to get one of the directors of the BBC to say that they're going to let the fans edit a compendium of Doctor Who information. The BBC's question would be, won't that be chaotic, right? Won't the users come in and just make a mess of things? And you could say, well, there's going to be this one person, see, who steps forward and does the huge bulk of the kind of steering committee work that's needed, who does the huge bulk of the work that's needed to make this article good. To which you can imagine someone at the BBC asking, I didn't know about that person, who is it? To which you would have to say, I don't know yet. Right? The astonishing thing about Wikipedia articles is there's always, for large-scale articles, there's always a small group of people who do most of the work. And nobody knows in advance who they are. It's like what we know from living in large cities. Right? Large cities make improbable events probable because the number of people involved mean that even if something is unlikely in an individual instance, it's very likely as a group.